To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
What is it about Disney that makes us happy? Is it the magical whistle as your ticket is scanned at the main gate? Is it the seafaring smell of pirate water? Or is it charting a course to a land where you may never grow up? Whether it's singing a familiar song, watching a movie, or riding your favorite attraction for the 100th time, Disney undeniably has a way to warm our hearts, believe in magic, and bring joy into our lives. This is Main Gate Magic, a podcast where we break down and discuss the infectious happiness, delight, and thrill of all things Disney. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Main Gate Magic. It is I, your host, Jason Braden, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts, Lisa Braden, my lovely wife, and my friend Mimi. Hello!
Hello.
How you guys doing today?
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Lovely. I love the lovely. So we today are going to discuss the pros and cons of going solo at Disneyland. But before we do, we got a couple of things to talk about first. First of all, if you guys actually missed last week's, I always tend to start with a recap of last week. Last week was a really great show. If you guys missed it, it's available on YouTube and Facebook, and of course also on all the audio shows that like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. Kevin and Tracy Thompson were on the show. Kevin Thompson was a Ewok from Return of the Jedi, and also two Disney, or well, not Disney at the time, but two Star Wars TV movies about Ewoks back in the 1980s. And his wife Tracy has been in the entertainment industry as well, and also wrote a book about Kevin's adventures as an Ewok called the My Journey to Endor. And if you guys actually want to know more about that, the My Journey to Endor book is available for sale on Amazon.com. And be sure to listen to the episode, or at least watch it if you get a chance. It was a lot of fun. They were very engaging and just super, super nice people. So shout out to Kevin and Tracy again for being on our show.
And I can't wait to read the book.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right, because you said you ordered a copy, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Like the day of the podcast when we
did.
finished.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mimi, have you got a chance to watch that one yet?
Not
read the book, but just watch the show.
I knew what you meant. I have not yet.
Okay.
It has been a crazy week, couple of weeks.
All right. Well, that's fine. No problem. All right. Well, before we get to the main topic of today, I do have a little bit of news. I know I said I wouldn't do as much, but I do have a few things I wanted to share that are kind of important in the realm of Disney. So let's go ahead and get down to it.
It's time for Main Gate Magic News.
All right, Main Gate Magic News. All right, so the biggest thing that I've been seeing on social media and on all of the things where I do my research for updates on Disney is they're getting ready for the holidays. They're talking about Halloween for sure. They're talking about the reopening of the Haunted Mansion and, of course, the Oogie Boogie Bash. Those are like the biggest topics right now. But we're going to start with the Haunted Mansion because that's been closed, I think, since the beginning of January.
Yep.
And people have been dying to know, like, when is it going to reopen? When is it going to reopen? I don't know if there's an actual date yet, but they did say it's going to be open in time for the Halloween season. Now, the Halloween season has been announced to start on August 23rd at the Disneyland Park. I don't know about the other parks, but I think they typically all start around the same time. So we're going to assume, I think, at least at this point, that the Haunted Mansion will be available at this time that they start celebrating Halloween. But here's the bad news, people, because I've been seeing a lot of negativity around this, unfortunately, and I'm a little bitter about it myself, but I understand the reason why. When the ride reopens, they are going to make it a virtual queue only. So basically what that means, if none of you know what a virtual queue is, the only way you're going to be able to ride the ride is if you get into a queue on the Disneyland app first thing in the morning, and they typically also open one up later in the afternoon for you to sneak in at a certain time. They usually give you, I think, like, what was it, like an hour and a half, something like that, a window to show back up the ride?
It's a window.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of fun sometimes joining those kind of queues because when you're in the park, you're sitting around with a bunch of people that are just complete strangers, but they're all on their phones. And you can see they're just refreshing and waiting for that moment to start. And then, like, bam, reserve the time.
Right.
So,
and then you start hearing people going, yeah, I got it.
Right. Yeah. I'm in group 29.
Right.
It's exciting, but I kind of wish they didn't have to do this, but I know that, the crowds are just going to be swarming that ride when it first reopens because it's been down for so long. And this is a major overhaul. But as far as I know, there's really not a lot of huge differences inside. It's just all outside. So the queue has been extended. They've redone everything on the outside, and I know that they've also installed a new elevator to help with disabled guests that are in chairs or scooters. And then they are also adding a shop at the exit queue.
Yeah.
Right. I think those are kind of the three main things that are happening. I'm going to be very interested to see what the full details are, like where they relocated everything, if things have been relocated, or are they keeping most of the main stuff where it was and just adding to it instead of moving stuff that already existed. I haven't heard anything else beyond what we heard about months ago. Have you guys heard anything yet?
No, I have not heard anything aside from seeing the concept art quite some time ago.
Right. Yeah, exactly. First of all, really quick, we've got Patricia on. She's saying, hey, everyone. Hey, Patricia. Thanks for being on the show again.
Hi, Patricia.
And,
it's always wonderful to see you here.
Yes.
And Veronica says, I miss when you would walk up, make an appointment, and come back. Stop trying to be so tech Disney. Yeah, I know. They have the ability to do it. Yeah, exactly. It's just they have the ability to do it. And like I said, I know it's a little annoying. It's not going to be forever. I think I have a feeling that hopefully before. Now they're probably going to keep the virtual queue on all the way through the holidays. Would be my guess.
Probably.
Yeah, and then maybe at the beginning of next year is when they would probably go back to just the regular queue, and they'll probably also have Lightning Lane available as well. That's just my guess. So
give it a few years, we'll have time travel, and then we can go back and write it in the 60s. It'll be great.
Okay, so that should be a topic for another podcast episode because honestly, that is one of, like, if anybody had ever asked me what you would want to do on, like, if time travel existed, where would you go? And that is exactly what I would do. Travel back in time to 1955. And then I would hit Disneyland for
because I will talk about that forever.
Right. That would be so awesome. Because everything has changed so much throughout the decades. And we're coming up on, what anniversary are we coming up on? Like 72, 73?
What year is it?
It is 2024.
Okay, so I think we're coming up on the 70th.
70th.
Next year is 70.
Next year. Okay.
So in 6 years, we will be hitting milestone 75, which is insane.
That is crazy. That is so crazy.
Three-quarters of a century.
Yeah, I know. Well, speaking of anniversaries or birthdays or whatever, I'm going to kind of skip over my next topic and just kind of go to one since we're on topic of birthdays is Donald Duck. I talked about it on the second to last podcast that he turned 90 recently, and he looks pretty dang good for a duck in his 90s. But I did not realize they do something now at certain Disney parks that's called the Rubber Duck Extravaganza. Have either of you heard about this?
I have not.
So it is a rubber duck race, and they actually have it at the Disney parks. Now, I think it started at Disneyland, and they held it in the waters of It's a Small World. So what
I
it
do
looks
know
like,
what you're talking
right?
about. I have
Okay,
a friend
right?
who won it.
Get out, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I have questions for you based on that if you have any information, but
Ugh,
let
I
me
might.
kind of inform everybody of what I know about it, and then we'll kind of go into the story here. So, what they do basically is it looks like they just clear out all the boats from It's a Small World. At least in Disneyland they did, and I think they also did it in other Disney parks. From what I saw, they celebrate it in Hong Kong Disneyland and Disneyland Paris as well. So they take out all the boats, and basically once the boats are gone, it's just a streaming little river that goes all the way through the ride. So people, and I think is it just cast members? Do you at least know that much of it?
Yes, I believe
Right.
that is it.
Yeah.
I think they started it the year I left, or the year after I left, possibly.
Okay. I feel like it's only been a few years that,
Yeah,
that they started doing
it's a
this.
relatively new thing.
Like, well, maybe like after COVID or something like that. Like when they
I'm
reopened
looking
for
it up
COVID or
as we
something.
speak.
Okay, you do that. So anyway, the cast members get all these rubber ducks, and there's bunches of them because there's hundreds of cast members and there's hundreds of ducks. So they take all these ducks, they put it in, and then they open up the gate, and the ducks just start going down the little river, and whoever makes it out to the end, they get like a trophy. But they also give away prizes for, from what I saw in the categories, for the best decorated duck, the one that looks most like Donald Duck, and also they have best that one that's like most Disney, because the ducks are not themed; they're just standard yellow rubber duckies, and people paint them and they decorate them and they put stuff on them, and they just let them float around, and then whoever wins wins, and they get the trophies afterwards. So I just thought that was so cool. I mean, what a fun way to have fun with with the ride, and also have your cast members get involved with it somehow. So
Right.
go ahead and tell me your story.
I have to take it all back because
Oh,
apparently it started in 2008. I'm
oh,
reading
dang!
on the Disney Parks blog. There's a history of the duck races.
Wow.
It did not start as a Donald Duck thing, but it rapidly grew into one.
Okay. Well, I mean, they
Um,
did just call it the Rubber Duck Extravaganza, not the Donald Duck Extravaganza, so that makes
True.
sense. Yeah.
But yeah, they've been doing it for quite some time, and oh, that's wonderful.
Veronica
So-
says, "I wonder what happens to the ducks that didn't make it through the ride. Some got stuck. I'll
oh,
bet you
no
that
doubt,
they
they're
they
probably
might.
still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I
No.
can see. I can see the cast members like with waiters going, walking through the river and just going like, oh, there's one, there's one, there's one.
Yeah, Disney's pretty good at maintaining their flumes. I would say
Yes.
anything that goes in the water comes out. I've seen, again, cast member thing when I used to sneak around at night when I wasn't supposed to. Maintenance guys walking through in the water of Pirates of the Caribbean, fishing stuff out. So they maintain their flumes. Can't say that necessarily about the rest of it, but the water they keep
Right.
they keep
Right.
it up.
So you had a friend that you said won
Yes.
the race one year.
I don't even remember which friend it was, but I know I have a friend who won it because he posted about it for like 2 weeks.
Do you
He was
remember
like,
what it was
He
decorated
got,
as?
I think he got, I think he got like a little plaque that was
Yeah.
like, you're the winner of the race, and he was taking pictures of it everywhere. I don't know what his. I will see if I can track it down, but
Okay, that'd be cool. Maybe we can put it up on social media so people can actually see what we're
yeah,
talking
that'd
about.
be great.
Because I'm sure there are some that are going like, wait, rubber ducks in Small World? No, you guys are just making this up. I'm like, no, I
We're
am
not,
not
I
making this up.
promise.
Oh.
I've seen pictures, I've seen videos, I've seen trophies for this year's winners, so it is a real thing, believe it or not. So anyway,
Yes,
that was just something that I just kind of blew my mind, and I thought it was worth sharing. And by the way, we are Lisa and I are celebrating summer. The summer solstice was recently happened. I think it was like 2 nights ago. So
Something
we
like
are
that.
wearing our summer Disney garb, and Lisa has the matching Disney ears, looking very lovely next to her little Minnie Mouse on the speaker back there,
Yes.
showing off. So then in the final piece of news that I had, at least park-wise, is the Oogie Boogie Bash. And it's going cuckoo right now because apparently there was a pre-sale that happened already for Inspire Magic key holders. Now, Inspire Magic key holders, like us, they get certain benefits because we are the highest tier, and we had an opportunity to get tickets before the other Magic key holders. But at this point, the Inspire key holders that were able to get in an earlier queue, it's all sold out already.
Right.
But
And that was today.
And that was today. That
Yeah,
is correct. But tomorrow, starting at 8:45 a.m. Pacific time, all the other Magic key holders, including Inspire key holders, again, will be able to actually get into a queue starting at 8:45 a.m. Pacific for the Oogie Boogie Bash. Now, the queue waiting room closes at, I think they said 11:59 p.m. They call it a waiting room Pacific time as well on the same day. But the sales will start no sooner than 9 a.m. Pacific on that same day as well. So you can still get in the queue all the way up till basically midnight that day. But if you miss it after that point, you're probably out of luck, unfortunately. General admission sales start on the 27th, which is the day after. And the waiting room for that opens up again at 8:45 a.m. So anybody that is not a Magic key holder will be able to get tickets at that point. The prices vary depending on what month you go. I saw that in August, I think there's 3 days that actually have the Oogie Boogie Bash. And just so you all know, it takes place in California Adventures, just in case you never heard about it before or know where to go. What did I say? That the prices were like about $143 for August, but I know the price starts getting higher the closer you get to October.
Correct.
But in September, I think I saw that there was like 10 different nights that had Oogie Boogie Bash, and in October, I think it was like around 14. So it's all on varying dates. But the first one begins on August 25th, and it runs all the way through August 31st on Halloween itself.
You mean
Now,
October?
October. Sorry,
31st.
October. Pay no attention to the crazy man behind the microphone. So yeah, get your tickets for general public on, what did I say, the 27th, and if you're a
Correct.
Magic key holder, tomorrow morning. So don't wait. If you want to go,
No.
get them now.
Because it will sell out very quickly.
It will sell out quick. So let's see. Veronica's talking about Terry Hardin. What does she say? Terry Hardin's stories about how pirates needs to be maintained a lot. Oh, we're talking about the water again.
Yes.
Because the water wears away the molds on the ride. Yeah.
Yes.
The mold stuff on the ride. I can imagine. I mean, there's like tons of boats and they're floating through and they're bumping against stuff and wearing things down constantly. So that does make a lot of sense.
It's a lot.
Did you find anything about the?
I cannot find what I'm looking
No
for.
biggie. That's all right.
But
No
I
problem.
tried. I get credit
We
for
got
trying.
more stuff to talk
Yes,
about.
always.
Yeah. All right. Last piece of news before we get into our main discussion. Inside Out 2. I saw it this Saturday with my son Gabriel. If you're listening, hello. I loved it. I'm going to give a quick no spoiler review. I kind of give it like a 8.5 out of 10. It's not the most incredible Pixar movie, but from what I understand, it already is beating box office records, especially for Pixar movies released in a weekend. And I can just tell you from at least my perspective that the movie is fast-paced. It never lets up. There's lots of comedy in it, just like before. I feel like there's a lot more focus on Riley this time than there was in the past movies. And the addition of all the other emotions that they get added into this are crazy. But all that being said, I can sum everything up how I felt about that movie in one word, and that's relatable. Especially when it came to anxiety. Because I feel like that's something that we kind of all deal with in our lives. Whether you feel like you suffer, and I use suffer in quotes here, from anxiety, because I know that there are some that do feel anxiety, but they don't really suffer from anxiety the way that a lot of other people that do have this problem. And the way they described the way that the characters were reacting to anxiety, and anxiety was not just a new character, but I can't really say much more because she's I'm going to say she's like a secondary character. There's main characters, there's secondary characters. She's kind of a secondary character, but she's a very important secondary character, especially to a teenage girl who's going to hockey camp and meeting new friends and stuff like that. That's about as deep as I want to get. But it was wonderful, and they made it very relatable to not only, I think kids, but also adults. And I would highly recommend, if you guys haven't seen it, catch a bargain matinee or a 3D show for, good Lord, I just realized. So when I was looking for tickets, I didn't realize how much 3D shows are nowadays. They're like $25.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Pardon me. Hold on one second. Coughing break. I'm back. Yeah. But yeah, it's so crazy. And the bargain matinee was only about $11, and that's what we ended up going to see. But it was still on a huge screen, and it looked amazing. But anyway, Inside Out, great movie. Veronica says loved it too. So many inside psychology jokes. I was groaning. I feel like I have to watch it again to get them all. I know there was a lot.
There was definitely a lot. It this week myself.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and I've told Lisa, I said, if you would like to go see it, because she didn't join us on Saturday, but I said, if you are ready to go see it this week, I will go see it again. I will pay money to go see it again. I haven't done that in a very long time, but it's worth it. It is definitely worth it. All right, so that's all I got for the news, and let's get on to the main topic. Solo trips.
Dun,
Solo
dun,
trips.
dun.
Yes.
My favorite topic.
I love solo
Who has
trips.
gone on a solo trip in our group?
Me.
Yeah.
You're the only one that hasn't done it yet, but possibility of you doing one for your birthday coming up in July. I know.
Yeah.
I hope
that
so.
will be my first solo. If I do.
And that was one of the big reasons why we kind of did this separate, because you couldn't come on the time that I was going, and I really can't go on the time that you want to go. My vacation schedule was it's booked up. There was too many people off that day. So I'm like, if you want to do that, more power to you, because I love them. And that's what I'm going to kind of start off with, is that I'm a little biased because I love solo trips. The very first one that I ever took, I was a little hesitant, and because I've always spent time with Lisa or somebody else going through the park, and I've always had that comfort of having somebody to talk to or bounce things off of or pass the time if I get bored. But it was a minor hesitation until I actually walked through the gates, and then after that it all kind of disappeared. Because it's just a lot of fun. There's a lot of freedom involved, and we're going to kind of go over the pros and cons of going solo versus going with a group of people. Now, when I say a group of people, it could be one extra person that you're going with. It could be, 6 extra people that you're going with. Exactly. Yeah. Good number. But I'm going to just put a quick disclaimer out there before we start talking about the pros. If you are listening to this and you're hearing all the pros and you're like, oh, that's for me, I want to do that. I just want to make sure that everybody realizes that that we are always about health first. So if you have any personal challenges going to the park by yourself, consider having somebody with you to help out if necessary. Take all these things to heart and just know your limitations. If you don't feel like you can do it, then maybe it's better just to have somebody with you. We are talking about our experiences or our inexperiences here, and we are just giving you informed feedback on what we have felt and experienced doing this by ourselves. But make sure that you are staying safe and staying healthy always. All right. With that in mind, pros. The first one I'm going to start off with is the obvious one, is freedom. You can create your own schedule. You can break that schedule, change your plans. You can do something on a whim without consulting anybody else. And that is something that is not always possible. Yeah, it's like, because when you're with a group, you're looking around and going, okay, guys, what do you want to do next? And even though you have something in your mind about what you want to do, everybody else, even though they're like saying, oh, sure, okay, we'll do that.
We'll do whatever you want.
Right. Exactly. How many times have we heard that?
Right.
You guys are the experts. You just take us somewhere, and then we get to some
Right.
place, and it's like, I'm gonna sit this one out. Like, okay, sure, no problem. We'll meet you up later, and then we got to find them
Right.
after you get off the ride, and it just takes up more time of the day. So that having that freedom is just such a blessing.
It is so nice.
It is. And being single by yourself, you get to take advantage of single rider lines.
Yes, you do.
Yes. Now, at Disneyland, there is not a lot of places for single riders to go on. I want to say Space Mountain and the Matterhorn. Are those the
Matterhorn.
only ones?
Indy has not a single rider line person. No, wait, they do.
No,
if you
they
go
do.
to
Do
the
they?
front of Indy and you say,
All you
"Hey,
have
I'm
to
a
do-
single rider,"
Mhm.
they'll
Oh,
give you a little
Yes.
card and send you up the exit, or
They
or-
will.
Yeah.
You
but
just
there's
have
no
to ask.
actual. Yeah, there's no actual sign there that says single rider
No.
when you
You
approach
just
the
have
queues,
to
is there?
Yeah, I think it
Oh.
says single riders inquire here or something.
Okay.
There might be a sign that says that, but I know for a
Gotcha.
fact that they do offer that.
Well, that's tricky. All right, well, helpful tip for anybody who's thinking about doing
I'm
it or
trying to
who's
think. Oh,
going to the park this week.
Smuggler's Run does single rider.
Oh, yes, that's right. I forgot about that. And funny story about that one, not this last trip, but the trip prior, when I went to Disneyland by myself, I went on Smuggler's Run 7 times in a row, all within the period of probably maybe, I don't know, an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, that is I remember I did the same thing when Smuggler's
Yeah.
Run first opened and I was going to Galaxy's Edge by myself every single day.
Yeah.
I was just rolling it one
Right.
right after the other. The cast members are looking at me like I'm a psychopath. It was great.
Stalker! Like, can I be a pilot this time? No, sorry. The disadvantage to actually being a single rider on Smuggler's Run is that you're almost always going to be a gunner or an engineer. Most
Right.
likely an engineer, because everybody else wants to be a pilot or a gunner.
I tell you though, the last time I did single rider, I got pilot
Oh, wow.
because nobody in the family wanted to do it. They were all intimidated and they were like, please be the pilot. And I was like,
You
okay.
know what?
Okay.
Now that I'm thinking about it, when I went this last trip, I think I only did single rider twice, one on each day. And because I didn't want to go nuts this time, I had other things that I wanted to do because I was only there for 2 days. But I went with a group of, there was like a group of kids that were in line with me as single riders. And they pulled 3 of us in as a group on our own. Like
Oh, wow.
all single riders in one ship. So
Wow.
when we asked around and they're like, what do you want to be? One kid said he wanted to be the pilot. The other kid says, I want to be a gunner. And I'm like, okay, well, if you're a pilot, then I guess I'll be the other pilot. So we literally had 2 pilots and 1 gunner in the back. And the kid next to me who was on the left side, I think that's the left to right. And I was doing the up and down. And of course, the hyperspeed. That's the fun part, pulling the lever. He said that he loves playing video games. He's played this before. He's done really well. I think he lied. We did not do very good. Hondo Anaka was not very pleased with us at the very end because he had to take a lot of money out for repairs and damages. It wasn't as good as I thought it would be. I was like, oh my God, this could be it. We could get an amazing score because the engineers, they're on auto, whatever they do,
Right,
when there's
right,
nobody in the
right.
seats, they just put it on autopilot, so to speak. The gunner, all they got to do is just hold down the button or just keep tapping it and then just hit anything else that's flashing. And, a monkey could do it. And, nah, the left or right pilot just kept crashing into stuff everywhere. And
You know what?
I'm like-
when I was the pilot, we didn't do very well either.
I know, but it takes some practice because there's some lag when you're
does.
doing it. And
That's
it's
true.
not the quickest reaction. I think they did that to kind of make it feel like a real ship, like it's not super reactive like a video game. It's going to take some time for it to actually know which direction you're going to be going.
If I can use this as a segue into another pro of single lone, what did we call
Solo
this?
trip.
Solo trip. There we go. I found my way there.
Please do.
Meeting strangers.
Yes.
That's probably my favorite thing. And I'm an introvert. I am not like, I get a little bit nervous walking up to order a pizza, But at Disneyland or any Disney park,
Yeah.
it's different.
It is.
You're not going to sit on your phone. You're going to make conversation with the people in line. I have met so many people. I remember one time I was in line and there were these girls and they were like, we don't know where anything is. We're from Florida. And I was like, well, hey, let me help you. And I took them on a tour of the whole park and I took them and showed them all the cool things and like just the stuff you get to do,
Yeah.
You get to meet
That's
people.
amazing. I mean, I know it kind of defeats the purpose of going on a solo trip because you eventually hooked up with people that you're now hanging out with, but that is still really cool. You kind of became like a free tour guide all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, it was great.
I would love to do that for a job. I mean, I'd give people tours of Disneyland. Are you kidding me?
Right.
That's like a dream job to me.
That'd be ideal. That'd be great.
Patricia says, Corey and I did single rider lines when we went in 2019. We still got seated close to each other most of the time. That is 100% accurate, Patricia, because I'll give you a perfect example. Radiator Spring Racers. We have never been in the standby line since the ride opened.
Never.
Ever. It was either always Lightning Lane or Fast Pass at the time, whatever they called it, then versus now, or single rider, because you get up there and they almost always call a single rider to get in one row and another single rider either for the same row or for the row either in front or back, just depending on where you're sitting. And a lot of the times you can actually get in the same car. Now, it's never a guarantee, obviously. But then I have seen people that go in groups as single riders and they're like, oh, can I sit with my friend? They're like, no.
That's not what single rider is for.
Right. It kind of defeats the purpose of having a single rider line. But yeah, you can sometimes get seated with your friend if you guys go in the single rider line.
Yeah.
It's an amazing process. And even if a ride does not have a single rider line, and I'll give you another example here. Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout.
Right.
My last trip, I went on that. I did a solo ride on one day, and the other day was with Kevin and Amanda, who are our special guests next week, actually, from Where in the Park. Hello, Kevin and Amanda. But I was on the ride by myself, and I got in the queue. I'm pretty sure I used Lightning Lane for this particular one. I was probably about maybe 30 or 40 people back from where they start lining you up in front of the gantry, the elevator. And out of the blue, of course, like one of the cast members like, I need a single rider, please. And I wave my hand from like way, way back, and they're like, okay, come on up. So even if a ride does not have a single rider line, there is a chance you could get called up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a big advantage. Hello, Kim. How are you? Speaking of Where in the Park, Kim is also part of the Where in the Park team. Kim, I forgot to ask. I should get you on with Kevin and Amanda on next Tuesday as well if you're available. Let me know in the chat or send me a message after the show. I'd love to have you on there too. More the merrier. All right, so, and actually, that's funny because the second topic was single rider advantage, and we talked about that. You said you talked about meeting people in line, right? And
yes.
Have you, like, okay, so most of the time when you're meeting people in line, what do you think do you think you're mostly meeting people that have been there forever? Like, they know Disneyland like the back of their hand like you do, or are you meeting people that have mostly been there, that like there's their first trip, or they're like, oh yeah, I'm visiting from Arizona or something like that?
Honestly, I have probably done more solo trips than anything else because when I was working at Disney, I would go to the park all day before work and then go to work. So, I could probably list at least 250 solo trips just from that. Probably more because I worked there for 3 years. I didn't go every single day, but I went many, 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 many days. So it was definitely an even toss-up. You would get people who lived down the street. You would get other people who worked there. And then you would get people who it was their first time. And that was always the more fun, I would say. People who you get to say, hey, and this is a little segue that I was going to mention just a minute ago when we were talking about being in line by yourself, is seeing things that you might not see if you're engaged in conversation.
Yes.
Because there's so much stuff to see that Disney has in little details in their queues and stuff that you will not notice. I'll use Peter Pan's Flight at Disneyland, for example. They have all these little wooden carvings of little things from the Peter Pan story. And you wouldn't notice those things if you're engaged in conversation necessarily. Sometimes you're just not going to see that. But it is a fun thing when you are in a queue by yourself to point it out to somebody who might not be aware of that and be like, hey, look at this thing.
Right.
Oh my
Aren't
gosh,
those
that's so
part
cool.
of the there's like an
That
experience
one's part of the Play Disney Park app.
Play
experience.
Disney app, right? Yeah.
I think that's still a thing. It's hard for me
It
to
is.
tell, but okay, that's good. But like little things in the queue, like the Indiana Jones queue.
Oh
There's
yes.
nothing like setting off one of the traps in the Indiana Jones queue that a guest has never seen before. Oh man, back when they had the shaking pole, you know what I'm
Right.
talking about.
Of
Yes.
course
I
I
don't
do.
think it's there anymore because
Nope.
it was a problem. But when they had it, I basically nearly gave an old lady a heart attack once. She was freaking out. She's going, "What's happening? What's happening?" And half the room's laughing, and the other half the room's like, "What's going on?" It was great. But little things like that, where you get to share things with people who have not been there before.
Right.
You know, it's an experience.
Definitely. So one of the next ones that I have on my list, and this is done from just like a lot of research on the internet and in personal experiences, because it was hard for me to come up with like a lot of individual reasons, because my brain just goes crazy when I think about stuff like this, because I feel like there's more advantages than there are disadvantages. But that's what the research was for. So solo trips also allow you to immerse, and then you were kind of talking about this. They allow you to immerse yourself in the details and the atmosphere of the park without distractions. So like you were saying, like the little details in the rides, and you know, we're gonna be talking about this next week actually with Kevin and Amanda, because they have Where in the Park, and they actually focus on a lot of those little details, and they take pictures of these little obscure things. Sometimes it's a hidden Mickey maybe, or it might just be a garbage can or a sign at a restaurant, or a part of a sign at a restaurant, or something like that. And the goal is to, you know, open these little scavenger packs that I have right here, and find it in the park and make a game out of it. So, I mean, honestly, that's something that I had planned to do on my solo trip to Epcot, and of course when we went to Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom, but I got in little kid mode, and that's like, you know, I'd forget my head if it wasn't screwed on straight. So. Oh, hey, Andrew's watching. Hey, Andrew. And he says, "Oh, look at his and hers matching shirts."
Yeah.
They are cute. I commented on that first thing. I'm like, that's adorable.
I bought these when we went to when I was planning to take Jason to the park for his 50th birthday. So on his 50th birthday, we dressed alike, and I did pay for a private tour for.
Yes.
That's so cute.
Just the two of us, and I think I ended up boring our cast member that was walking us through, because I would be pointing out different things and making my own facts, or not making my own facts, but just recalling facts that I already knew. She's like, "Did you know this?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah," and then this,
Yeah,
and
we
then
knew
this,
that.
and then this, and then
Yeah.
at one
There
point,
wasn't a
I
whole
think
lot
she
she
forgot.
could-
I think she just gave up, and she's just like, "Okay, so what ride do you want to go on next?"
Honestly,
Her name was Megan, I think. Megan
it
was
was
her name.
Megan. Yeah.
Yes, she was super nice. And then Megan, if you're out there somewhere, you're listening, you're watching, you were amazing, and I hope I didn't bore you to death with my knowledge.
But we had a wonderful day. So.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. All right, we talked about meeting new people. You brought that up. That was another one on my list. Focusing on favorites, spending more time on your favorite attractions and shows
yes.
without compromise. And that's something that's really cool, because not everybody likes to see parades. Not everybody likes to stick around for fireworks. Not everybody wants to go see the show at the, you know, the theater or something like that. If they're, I'm trying to think of any shows that are still there, but I guess the Fantasyland Theater still has something going on for Pixar. But yeah, not everybody wants to do that. But if you want to go see, like for example, me, I love Turtle Talk.
Yes,
Crush is my
does.
man, right? He so totally rocks. Dude, right?
Dude, I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah, I'm like,
ridiculous.
come on, you guys are leaving me hanging here. But yeah, that's something that I could go in and I could leave and I could walk around, look at the stores for a little bit, maybe grab something to eat, and then just go right back in. And it's a whole different show. Yeah, granted,
Right.
the things that he says are the same, but the audience always says something different, which is why I love it so much. But
That's
not
true.
everybody that I go with likes it the same as I do. So that's definitely another thing. Efficiency. You can move through the park quicker because you're not holding up a sign that says, hey, follow the Braden clan this way or anything like that. You can dodge and weave, in between everybody, and you don't have to worry about losing everybody and like, okay, hey, where did this person go? Where did
You
that
don't
person
have to
go?
stop everything to go to the
Nope.
bathroom.
Exactly. You can go at your own pace, and you don't have to worry about people catching up to you or getting lost or nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Right.
And let's see. I think we covered pretty much everything else on the pro list so far, but the other one is the title of this I put here is Self-Care, and it says it's a chance to treat yourself to exactly what you want, whether it's relaxation, thrill rides, or exploring every hidden corner. This is your chance to just kind of let loose and do it all on your own. I mean, you like foods, like it said, just going and sitting on a bench that you've never been to before, taking a path that nobody's ever walked before when you've been as a part of a group. It's a great chance to explore without having to worry about keeping the pack together. Andrew, when I am at Disney Park by myself, I do everything totally different than when I am with others. I can stay on the Disneyland Railroad as long as I want. Amen, brother. And I can go
Yes.
around and around. Yes, that is okay. That is a definite plus, especially for folks that are our age. In our 50, we'll just say 50 plus.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it's a no frills just way to just sit and chill, watch the people as you're passing by. You get to wave at them and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and see all the other attractions if they're open. Although New Orleans Square Station's still closed, but it still stops
Yeah.
there, so it's like 5 minutes of just sitting there and kind of being bored.
Not every
But yeah,
time.
huh?
It doesn't stop every time.
Well, while the station has been closed, it has been stopping. That's my experience.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the train always stops there because the trains are going and they're stopping at other locations. Otherwise, they'd be bumping up against each other in Toontown all the time.
Oh, okay. You're right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's definitely a good point because I'm the same way. And baby, I think I even told you about this recently. Like when I go to the park and I'm with a group of people, I have this like ache that happens in my side every once in a while. It's like a stitch in my side.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
When I'm by myself, I don't get that ache. It's so weird. I don't know what I'm doing differently. I have no idea. Maybe I'm
Stress.
walking.
Prioritizing yourself.
It could be
Taking care of
stress. I don't know.
yourself.
I know. But yeah, I'm not even thinking about like my feet. I'm not thinking about my side. I'm just thinking about what can I do next? What can I do next?
Now,
'Cause
mind
nobody
you,
has to.
even when it's just Jason and I, he gets that stitch. So
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
definitely. Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's probably stress.
Well, I don't know. No, I don't think. We will talk about that after the show.
Okay. I'm just saying, sometimes I'm stressful.
Well, I mean, you are in a motorized cart, so sometimes I do have to kind of keep up or catch up or I am like if you're behind me for whatever reason, I am constantly turning around to look to make sure that you're still
Right.
with me. I know I don't really have to, but I still do. It's just a subconscious thing because I don't
Of
want to
course.
lose you like in
And
any
people
aspect.
always will walk right in front of my cart and then they kind of slow down and I get separated from Jason.
Yeah,
Eventually I will catch up, but it never fails. It's just I know that it's going to happen and we do the best we can.
right. Andrew says, "Hit the throttle, make him jog." Andrew,
Kim
you
had
should
a
know
really
better. There is no running at Disneyland
Kim had a
unless
really
you're
good
there
Right.
for a
point, too.
marathon or something.
Yeah, and there's many times that I've just said, "We're going where next? Okay, I'll meet you there because I'm going to go.
Yeah.
If there's a path, I'm going." And then
Yep.
he can just catch up when he
That's
gets there. I'll
true.
be waiting.
And I don't mind because I know where I'm going. She knows where she's
Right.
going. We don't need a map. So
No.
we'll just
Or
meet
each
you.
other.
I'll
We
meet
can
you
do
when you
that
get
all.
there.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. All right. So I saved the cons for last because this is not a negative show; it's a positive show. But still,
And just so you guys know, in my world, these are not cons, these are deltas.
they're dealt. Oh yes. Do you want to explain that any further?
Well, deltas are things that, could be improved upon.
Oh, okay.
We'll just say
Makes
that.
sense.
So they're not
Yeah.
cons, they're deltas.
You're using a work phrase basically, right? That's
It
what
is.
you're referencing. Okay.
Yeah.
So just sort of, it's not a con, it's a delta. Okay. All right, but in all these situations, whether they're pros or cons, you guys be the judge. Who are we? We're just people that have been there just like you, or if you haven't, then, take our advice or don't take it. It's fine. You'll find out for yourself eventually, and hopefully you'll have just as much fun discovering what the pros and cons are, because that's what we did, and it's an adventure for sure. All right, cons. Loneliness. That does happen. It does. I am so lonely. So yeah, some people may feel lonely without companions to share the experience. So, and like I kind of even touched on this a little bit earlier, because even though you have like all this time to do everything on your own, you are still on your own. And when it comes to those times when you're in line with people that have never been before and you just can't connect, or you can't kind of worm your way into a conversation like I tend to do, because I am always eavesdropping whenever I'm taking a solo trip. I'm like, oh, you want to go to this ride next? Let me tell you the best way to get there.
When you're on a
It's not-
solo trip,
see-
that's not exclusive for you on a solo trip. I can
No.
say
And
that with
besides,
No.
it is not eavesdropping, it's just ear hustling.
Okay,
Okay?
sure. I like
I'm
that one
sorry.
better. Yeah, I like that
It
one
is
better.
just ear hustling. You just happen, you're
Yeah.
there, people are talking at a level where you can hear, it's ear hustling.
And I don't know about you, but I mean, when I'm at the parks, my hearing is definitely okay. We're gonna give Mimi a moment to recover. Do I need to mute you?
Oh, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Sorry.
That took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting that.
Okay.
She's used that terminology before, and I do like that phrase better than eavesdropping. But
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
way
really-
better.
thank goodness I don't use the term eavesdropping very often for her to have to say hustling. All right, so yeah, my hearing is like multi-directional. Even though I'm having a conversation with my party in line, there are times where I just sort of like, gaze away and I just lose track of the conversation I'm a part of, and I end up hearing conversations from other people, and I'm like, oh, let me talk to you because you're more interesting right now than the group that I'm with.
Right.
It happens. I am sorry. For those who I've been to Disneyland with, I apologize, but it is the truth, and you all know it too. I know that the people that are listening that have been on the trip with us, they gotta know it. Andrew says, preach it! The first time I went to Disneyland solo, I had just begun dating my wife, and I missed her terribly. All I could see were happy couples, and I became miserable. Yeah, and that's what happened to me the very first time that I went by myself as well. Is that you kind of just start seeing examples of other couples and families, and you're just like, dang it, I kind of wish I had this person here to share this with me, because there are some magic moments that happen at the park that you're just kind of like, oh, I didn't get that on camera. I wish somebody else was here to see it with me. And unfortunately, it's just a solo shared moment. But it's okay, because you're still experiencing it either way. So another con is photography challenges. It can be difficult to capture a memorable moment without somebody taking your photos. Now, I know that Disneyland does offer a service called the Photo Pass that you can pay for separately, but if not, you're pretty much stuck doing pictures as selfies, the entire time you're there, or trying to ask a stranger, hey, can you take a picture for me? Now, I will say, a pro to that is that most people that are at the parks are always willing to help. You can
Yeah.
probably pull anybody aside and say, hey, would you mind taking my picture really quick? I'm here by myself. Sure, no problem.
I'm going to add
Absolutely.
2 things to this. The first is, if you ever happen to be at Disneyland and you happen to see me and you need your photo taken, I will do a full-on photo shoot for you. It's happening. You can't stop it. I have a bad tendency. I'll be like getting on my belly on the ground to take the picture at the
Worm's
right
eye
angle.
view, yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
no, I will absolutely go all out for that. Secondly, I'm going to flip back into solo for 2 seconds, because at Disneyland, some of those PhotoPass photographers, not the ones in front of the castle, the ones wandering about, You find them and you say, "Can you take some pictures for me?" They will do mini photo shoots for you. I have hundreds of pictures of me in Disney bounds doing full-on photo shoots, having up and back when it was Tarzan's Treehouse and all through DCA, all kinds of stuff. They will do like proper photo shoots for you, the wandering ones, if you're real nice.
At the Magic Kingdom, at the end of our day, you stopped in front of the castle. It was pretty much dead by the time that we got there, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, that guy said like, okay, now twirl your dress around. Now, like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah,
do a
that was
pose. And
great.
da-da-da. There was like probably, I don't know, like what, maybe 20 pictures that he took or something like that.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
PhotoPass people are the best. We love
They are
PhotoPass
really,
people.
really great. Yeah, and I had a different experience, unfortunately, when I was at California Adventure. I know it's something that I didn't quite expect, but I went to Cars Land, and I asked the person, okay, you know, I had the Genie Plus for the day, which included PhotoPass. I'm like, I gotta get some pictures in. So I went to Cars Land, right at the middle of Main Street. You're looking down towards Radiator Springs Racers, and I pulled the cast member aside and I said, hey, you know, I'm here by myself. Would you mind taking some pictures? He's like, no problem. Put me up, you know, like 10 feet away or whatever. And I just kind of stood there and I waited like about maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 awkward seconds. And then I just started posing on my own. They didn't give me any direction or anything. And I'm used to them saying, okay, now cross your arms or put your hand up this way or, you know, point to something. I didn't get that in this particular case, so I just started posing on my own. And eventually she kind of lightened up a little bit and says, oh my gosh, you're posing on your own. I didn't expect this. That's really nice. It's like, well, yeah, because you were not telling me to. I had to do something. I had to bring out my inner ham to get the picture that I needed, and I still really wasn't happy with what it was taken. But anyway, Kim says, I love when we hear the oddest things from people. Greatest one was, what is a corn dog? You're
Oh,
kidding
no.
me.
That's interesting.
Wow.
Somebody
How-
came up to me once on a solo trip. No, they didn't come up to me. I overheard them. They were asking somebody else. They're going, how do you get to Teacup World? And I'm going, what?
I've never heard that one before.
Yeah. That's
Now,
interesting.
The flip
I
side of that
hear-
is, as a cast member, I can't tell you how many times I had people come up and ask me where Harry Potter was, where to find the Minions, lots of like Daffy Duck, Bugs Bunny.
Oh,
Oh.
wow.
At Universal? Wrong park.
I'm like, well, you're gonna have to go some great distance up the road here.
Right.
Right. Take
Like
the
what,
I-5
Magic
up
Mountain, I
that way.
think?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think they got all the Warner Brother characters over there, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, there is a Warner Brothers Studios, I think, that you can take a tour at. They
Oh,
might
there
have
is,
some
isn't there?
Daffy
Yes,
Duck
there is,
there
that
and
is a
Bugs
thing.
Bunny and stuff. Anyway, I digress. All right,
Other
back to the
pros.
cons. Yeah,
Oh, cons. I'm sorry.
we're back to the cons. So cons are dining for one. How horrible is it when you walk up and you're like, how many in your party? "Oh, just one."
Right.
It's not the best feeling in the world, but if you don't care, you don't care. But I know that when I've gone up and I've sat down at a dining experience, it's not the best
It's a
feeling in the
little
world.
embarrassing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit, especially when you
I
sit down
remember-
and there's like everybody sitting with everybody or somebody else, and you're the lone wolf at the table.
Blue
you know?
Bayou. I was sitting at Blue Bayou by myself. There's a couple here in the middle of a proposal. There's a couple here in the middle of a proposal, and I'm sitting there twiddling my fingers, eating my gumbo. Like,
Yep.
I like it here. I like being by myself. I promise.
Holy, I didn't realize how late it is. We got like 5 minutes before our show's
Oh,
over
no.
here. I know. So we're gonna kind of zip through a few of these remaining cons, and we'll talk lightly on it because I want to talk about next week's episode and a couple other things really quick. So let's see. Decision fatigue. Constantly making decisions alone can be exhausting and
yeah.
overwhelming. So yeah, like, you know, sometimes you're just like, and actually, every time I think of one of these cons, it's like I have an experience because when I was at Epcot, they had a festival going on there where they had all these booths with food. I could not decide what I wanted to eat. I went to every single booth, and Epcot is a big property, lots of places to walk around and long ways to go to get there. I eventually ended up eating like I think Chinese food at the Chinese pavilion part of Epcot at one of their normal restaurants. I didn't even eat at the specialty booths. Instead, I just got what they normally have, and I felt like such a loser because I'm like, dang it, why didn't I get something else? They had scallops, for God's sakes, you know. I'm like, I could have gotten scallops. I didn't get scallops. I just sounded like Jerry Seinfeld. Why didn't I get scallops? All right. Let's see. Less social interaction. You might miss out on group dynamics and shared memories that come across when traveling with friends or family. We talked about queue boredom. Waiting in lines can feel longer and less entertaining without someone to chat with, but we've gone over that a lot already.
I want to add a tiny piece to the social interactions thing, where
Yeah.
you may miss out on experiences that you wouldn't necessarily have put yourself through that you could have really enjoyed. I would not
True.
have gone to Laugh Floor by myself. I don't like being picked out of a crowd. But I
Oh.
did it because you wanted to do it, and I was like, "It'll be fun," and then I got picked
I did
out.
not realize that.
But
Oh.
well, it's not something I would have done by myself. But
No,
you
but I mean,
have
it's funny that you.
opportunity in
It's
in
funny
group
that you
play.
did do it with me, and that time you got
Oh
picked.
yeah,
So
oh yeah. No, I knew it was gonna happen because of
universe
course
knew.
It was. It
the
knew.
universe knew. They're like, okay, spotlight's going on Mimi today. It's
Yeah.
happening.
100%. So
You
may miss out on opportunities that would be very fun that you would not necessarily that are a little outside your comfort zone.
Right. Andrew says decision fatigue is much worse when you have a day pass than when you are an annual pass holder. That's
Ooh,
definite.
yeah, 100%.
Definite. Yes, absolutely. Because when you got that annual pass, there is no pressure. You're like, I'll be back tomorrow, or I'll be back
Right.
in a month or
A
whatever.
month, yeah.
I'll do this next time. No problem. So good point. Thank you, Andrew. Navigational challenges. Figuring out park maps and transportation alone can be more challenging. Now, I'm not going to say park maps because a lot of us that have been, we know the park like the back of our hands. We could probably draw it by memory at this
Right.
point. But I can say that transportation to and from the park, wherever you're staying, it can be a little bit of a challenge because we were doing public transportation and, you got to wait for the bus or you got to get an Uber or a Lyft or something like that versus the comfort of just basically going back to the parking lot, hopping in your own car and taking off. So, but when you're with a group, it definitely can be a little bit more of a challenge. And then limited perspective. You might miss out on seeing the park through someone else's eyes and discovering new things. And that is a definite good point because
Mhm.
one of the things that I love about going to Disneyland with people is those that either haven't been in a really long time or just have never been. And it's just like seeing things through their eyes for the very first time. It's like whether they're young or old, there's that magic, right? That they see that you knew you saw when you first came in and you still see to this day through other interactions. And it's something that you just can't put a price on. It's amazing. It's a
Right.
wonderful
And
experience.
you and I sometimes will see something that the other person has never noticed before.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, did you realize that this was right here? And so we do that even still to today.
Right.
So that
Lola
part I
says the
do.
magic is real. Absolutely.
It
And that is
absolutely
why
is.
That's why
that is
we're
why
here.
this podcast is called Main Gate
That's
Magic
right.
100% because that's stuff that we feel every time that we go. And
Yes.
it's not always magic. We know that, we're human, we're infallible. We're going to have issues, we're going to make mistakes, we're going to, not always agree on things. But the magic of Disneyland and all the Disney parks is still there. And you just
Yes.
have to kind of put yourself in the mindset and just go with it, whether it's your first time or your 100th time. It makes no difference. I feel like I'm making a commercial right now. Disney, I hope you're
well,
listening.
I'm
Hire
pretty
me.
sure that
but I
was
will
in
say-
a commercial.
Maybe.
But I will say, if you're on like day 5 of 5 in a row, sometimes it might not feel as magical,
Right.
but you have to find that magic somewhere.
Definitely. Somewhere. Tylenol, that's magic.
Yeah, Tylenol and Motrin combination.
Right, exactly. All right. Well, I think that's all we got for the pros and cons on our
Yes.
main topic for the show. We're just going to go with a final recap on a few things. Just a reminder all, we do have an Etsy store available with t-shirts, and I don't know what happened, but we lost Lisa. Here she comes back in.
Okay.
There she
Yep.
is. That's weird. We'll call that a Wi-Fi glitch.
Yep.
We have, excuse me, original designs, whimsical ideas, Disney inspired for sure. If you know, you know. Check out our Etsy store. Just look for us at Main Gate Magic. You'll see the stuff there. Mostly what pops up when you do a search for Main Gate Magic is my Lafitte's Landing t-shirt. I think it's like a burgundy color. It's one of my favorites. So definitely check us out if you get a chance. And sneak peek into next week's show on Tuesday. It's the first episode of July. Tuesday the... What is it? The 2nd? Tuesday the 2nd. We will have Kevin and Amanda Richardson and also Kim. And I'm sorry, Kim, if I'm botching your last name, Petcher or Petchar. That's basically Amanda's mom. And she is part of the Where in the Park team. And again, if you guys haven't heard on any prior shows, or even if you weren't paying attention earlier, they do Disney park or just theme park scavenger hunts. And you get these little cards, you order them from their website, and you get them delivered to you, and you take them to the parks. And if you're not like me, you take them to the parks. And you open it up, and they've got all these little cards inside. And you go on this little scavenger hunt of where to find all the little pictures they've taken. And they do their research. They go into all these obscure locations, not only at the parks themselves, but sometimes also at the resorts that are surrounding the parks. So certain hotels or other things like even downtown Disney or something like that, they'll take pictures around those areas as well. So we'll be talking about that, what inspired them, all the parks they've been to. I know they just got back from like a 2-week trip not too long ago where they went to several different locations. We'll talk about that. It's not just Disney parks that they go to, but we'll touch on that lightly and find out like what made them think about this and how they made it a business. I think it's I've never even talked to them about that before. It's really interesting. So that's next week, and we've got a lot more amazing stuff coming up, guys. More topics, fun as today. And again, I'm going to thank Mimi and my wife Lisa for being such great co-hosts. This was a fantastic conversation. I had so much fun. Yeah, of
really
course.
Quick, I'm sorry. So the new restaurant opened in downtown Disney, and everything that I've seen or heard or watched is that it is getting excellent reviews. And I saw a picture of the new trash cans in downtown Disney, and I love them. They're so colorful, and
it's kind of mosaic looking, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 What's the restaurant? Do you remember the name of the restaurant?
No, but I believe it has an Asian theme, possibly.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe we'll come back next week with the name of the restaurant.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next time.
Yeah. We'll work it in somehow. So, all right. For those who were chatting today, if I didn't get to you, I do apologize. I tried to get to as many people as I can and as many of your comments as I can, but those who are on the show, thanks for joining me again. And those who are listening, appreciate your support, and your feedback is always welcome. Yeah. Remember to find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. We are everywhere. Just look us up, Main Gate Magic. I'm hoping to have a website eventually sometime that's going to lead to all these places, but a great jumping off point is our Facebook page. Just look us up at Main Gate Magic. It's the only one on there. You're going to see the bright blue logo with everything that you see on the screen up here. It's kind of hard to miss. So thanks again, everybody, for joining. Thanks again to my co-hosts. You guys are wonderful, and we will see you all next week. Toodaloo.
Bye, everyone.
Farewell.
Thanks for spending your time with